local station, News 4 Jax starts now.
New video into the Channel 4 newsroom. Drone video from over League City, Texas shows just how massive the flooding is. And new video from the Coast Guard as it rescues people from above who climbed onto the roofs to escape the water. Even though Harvey was downgraded, the storm continues to devastate Texas with flooding. We're covering this story from a number of different angles. We begin with Omar Jimenez. He is in Sugar Land just outside Houston with the latest on rescue efforts.
Mayor Sylvester Turner saying at least 5,500 people are currently sheltering in Houston alone. This is close to 300 people have been rescued since midnight last night to this morning, bringing the total to at least 2,000. And it is a trend that the city officials hope continues as more rain comes throughout the rest of this week. And here, moving forward, the storm is expected to go out to the Gulf Coast, where it'll potentially gather some steam, and then it is expected to hit again around the Texas-Louisiana border, bringing with it more rain. By the time this is all said and done, we could see around 50 inches of rain total by the end of Friday. Reporting live from Houston, I'm Omar Jimenez.
FEMA estimated 30,000 people could be in shelters as a result of Harvey, and 450,000 people may need assistance. The president is scheduled to visit Texas tomorrow. Meantime, social media helping tell the story of this storm. People have been using the hashtag HoustonStrong. Take a look at this dramatic rescue that was on Facebook Live.
Take her seat, tell her to take her seatbelt off.
Take your seatbelt off and get out now. The water's gonna keep coming in, get out.
Unlock the door, take your seatbelt off. These people swam out to a person trapped in that car. They did get the person out safely. And as soon as they turned around, the car, in minutes, was underwater. Here's a look at some photos from the area. This is the Emergency Response Center and the responses for the call for available boats to help with rescues. This is an airboat from the Harris County Sheriff's Office that was used to rescue people from high water. Flat-bottom boats work best. As many as 2,000 people have been plucked from the flooding. And there's now a mandatory evacuation issued for Bay City. It's about 80 miles southwest of Houston. Look at two cars submerged there in that area underwater. And here's a controlled release of the Baker Reservoir in the Buffalo Bayou. The Army Corps of Engineers said the release is to prevent uncontrollable flooding, more so, of the Houston area. An engineering crew from NAS Jax was deployed to Texas. This group is going to evaluate facilities on base that may have received damage from Hurricane Harvey. It passed through the Corpus Christi area. The local Red Cross is getting ready to head out. It will bring shelter supplies. The Red Cross will also help get people meals and provide emotional and spiritual care. Salvation Army also preparing to head west. It will send a canteen capable of feeding thousands of people to Texas. Channel 4's Ashley Harding has details on how they're going to help.
We spoke to leaders from both organizations, the Salvation Army and the American Red Cross. You know, it really is all about pitching in and donating. But the big thing that is needed right now is food. We are also learning that the plan was to send volunteers today, but conditions are still bad, so they're having to delay that. I'm Ashley Harding, Channel 4, the local station.
Problems from Harvey also creating a blood supply shortage. The American Red Cross is encouraging all donors to roll up their sleeves, especially those with type O positive blood. Now, News 4 Jax is going to host a phone bank tonight to help raise money for relief efforts by members of the American Red Cross. They're going to staff it. We'll start taking calls at 5 o'clock. Give you that number to call later this afternoon. Houston's getting a bit of a reprieve from the heavy rain, but we're keeping a close eye on a system that's impacting us. Take you live to downtown Jacksonville this noon. Rain has been falling the better part of the morning. This is a little tropical something that, well, doesn't have a lot of a wallop, but just a nuisance and could cause some problems on the road.
It's been pretty miserable out there with that potential tropical cyclone swirling offshore, bringing us those bands of rain. But the good news is from this point forward, we're actually drying out a little bit. So we'll keep you updated on the latest with our local weather and the tropics. We have a look at your 7-day forecast coming up next.
Our coverage of Harvey continues on news4jax.com. You'll find a photo gallery that shows some of the damage from around the state of Texas. You'll find the link inside the story on our homepage. Remember, you can download our Hurricane Tracker app to make sure that you're prepared when a hurricane strikes. He lets you view all the various models showing potential tracks. The app is free. Just search WJXT in the App Store. Happening right now, debating the future of Duval County Public Schools. Board members are taking up two big topics at a special workshop this morning at district headquarters. They're deciding whether or not to join a lawsuit over House Bill 7069 that allows charter schools to take over low-achieving schools. The other issue is finding a permanent superintendent to replace Dr. Nikolai Vitti. News4JAX has a crew at that meeting. St. Augustine City Commission will have a public comment period tonight at its meeting to talk about the removal of two Confederate monuments. Reverend Ron Walls held a Facebook Live last night. He's heading the charge to remove the monument at the Plaza de la Constitución, which honors General William Loring. The other monument honors men who died serving the Confederate States. The City Council meeting begins at 5. News4JAX will have more tonight on the evening and late night newscasts. Daniel Blyler's family, he was the man who was shot and killed outside a sandwich shop Friday, will hold a vigil at 6 tonight. It'll be at Vic's Sandwich Shop in the Paxton area on the west side. This is the scene from Sky 4 Friday. The manager called 911 to say a man was very intoxicated and his staff was concerned that Blyler was getting into his truck to drive away. They also told police the man was armed. JSO says Officer L.K. Johnson fired when he saw Blyler reach for his gun.
The officer identified himself as a police officer and attempted to talk to the man, and the man responded by reaching toward his waistband where the officer observed the handle of a firearm. When the man grabbed the handle of that firearm, the officer fired 13 rounds at him with his issued handgun.
News4JAX will have a crew at that vigil and we'll have more on the evening newscasts. Meantime, we continue monitoring the situation in Texas. An update on the volunteers who are heading to help. That's next.
The news team you can trust. That's the News4JAX difference.
Take a live look at the radar from Texas up through Louisiana right now. You can see that the bulk of the heavy rain is basically north of Houston. It's still getting some rain, and rain it doesn't need, but the heaviest of the storm can now be felt through Lake Charles. You can see the red, the orange, and the yellow there. Check in with Rebecca for an update in just a bit. Meantime, new information about a shooting that happened early Sunday in Durkeeville. JSO says a 22-year-old man was shot twice in the back on Blue Avenue. He ran a block away where he collapsed on a porch on McConaughey Street. Man was taken to UF Health with non-life-threatening injuries. Two men are in the hospital after they were shot in the Newtown area. Their injuries described as potentially life-threatening. That shooting happened about 8 o'clock last night on Tyler Street, not far from Kings Road. Police found a car crashed into a pole in the area. They believe the two men may have been in the car when they were shot. Police have no suspect information and no arrests have been made. They're still working to gather more. New technology helps JSO detectives investigating a shooting in Durkeeville. It happened on West 6th Street and Myrtle Avenues. Police used ShotSpotter technology to confirm that shots were fired in the area. The system allows detectives to pinpoint gunfire in real time. The person who was shot was dropped off at the hospital. No arrests, but police tell us the investigation is ongoing. All right, let's talk about the weather right now. We've got a situation where we're kind of in the soup. All right, but first we're going to talk about some of the Red Cross volunteers who are on their way to Texas to help. Rebecca's here, and one of them happens to be your dad.
Absolutely. My dad volunteers with the Red Cross, and I think he's going to join us for a second. Hey, Dad, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, so you guys are in Baton Rouge right now?
I'm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana presently, yes.
Okay, what are you guys doing and getting ready to do?
Well, currently we're doing three things. We're watching the weather for Lake Charles, Louisiana, which is getting lots of rain today, and possibility of having to shelter all the public there. We're preparing a shelter in Baton Rouge for 750 Red Cross volunteers that will be transiting to Texas through here tonight.
General, thank you very much. Stay safe out there. This is Bruce Hamilton wishing you the best. You know, the logistics happen to be the biggest problem for those who are trying to volunteer. We'll keep you posted. You're watching the Weather Authority. This is the beach camera. A little break in the clouds out there, Rebecca, and some people out there in the hard pack, but I know here in town, it's raining.
It is raining on and off again thanks to potential tropical cyclone 10. It's just a mess out there, just like you saw over the weekend. It looks like we're looking live over San Marco right now, and it's not too bad there. It's definitely overcast, but it's certainly been raining harder than it is right now, especially as of this morning. I know I drove through some pretty nasty areas of rain on the morning commute as well. So what we're looking at right now is we've made the turning point. We are not really on the wet side of this low pressure system anymore as long as it continues to move away from us. We've got lots more to come on the noon show, and we'll get to that just after this break.
Channel 4's community calendar is sponsored by Zaxby's, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, and the regular season against the Pensacola Blue Wahoos. Visit jackshrimp.com for tickets. Alhambra Theater and Dining presents Dixie Swim Club, starring Morgan Fairchild. Performances are scheduled through September 24th. On Labor Day morning, Run Jacks features a 5K event and a 1-mile race at First Place Sports on Bay Meadows Road. Register at firstplacesports.com.
We continue to track Tropical Storm Harvey and the impact the storm has on Houston. Let's check in with our sister station, KPRC in Houston, for their continuing live coverage.
Then they're releasing into the bayou. Now, what could happen if they don't release any of the water into Buffalo Bayou is that it could spill over the North Spillway. And what that could cause is a massive flooding event in Jersey Village. The flood control district says about 8 or so subdivisions would be affected. And the worst part is that they couldn't control the flooding. So that is why they're releasing this at a controlled release. They've done this since midnight, and it's going to continue indefinitely. It's a slow-moving process, and these floodwaters are moving very slowly. But they do say that if you are west, I'm going to repeat this, west of the reservoirs in these subdivisions here, you might want to evacuate now. Now is a good time because, look, the floodwaters are rising on the streets. And once they rise on the streets, it's very difficult to get any vehicles through. We're not even going to risk getting our live truck stuck out there. So they're saying that, you know, we're in the late morning to early afternoon hours. That is when you'd like to evacuate. Of course, there is going to be significant flooding around Buffalo Bayou as well. But that is why they're doing this, because they don't want to have an uncontrolled flooding event and have a catastrophe happen in Jersey Village. That is the latest here we're at Hickory Downs and Clay Road. Back to you.
Follow our continuing coverage of KPRC's newscast. You can watch them streaming live on news4jax.com. News at noon. We'll be right back. FEMA's making its way to Texas for the recovery effort. Here are 4 things you need to know. It has 1,800 staffers in the state. The agency's got 1 million meals ready to serve, 20,000 tarps, and 70 generators to help those without power. Meantime, we should start to dry out a little bit.
Yes, thank goodness. That low pressure system that we've been calling potential tropical cyclone 10, it probably will become a tropical storm off the Carolina coast tomorrow, but it's starting to drift away from us. You can see how that's drying us out. Northerly winds, that's what we'll see this afternoon, and that confines your chances for rain to our coastal counties. And so we're keeping an eye on it, but as of right now, it looks a little better than it did this morning. I still wouldn't leave the house without an umbrella until tomorrow when we really dry out. And tomorrow should be gorgeous. Everything this weekend wasn't in terms of weather.
Cool. And make sure you've got the News4Jax weather app to keep you posted. Well, Rebecca's not here to do it for you. And KPRC streaming live with everything from Houston continually on news4jax.com.
See why every day more people are choosing News4Jax, Northeast Florida and South Georgia's #1 source for local news.